Hey guys, my name's Gavin and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make more realistic, cool sounding, unique samples inside of FL Studio using a variety of different techniques that I'm going to break down and show you guys how to do today. So yeah, maybe like the video if you want to. Let's get this like 25 likes. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're on our way to 900 and then 1,000. And without further ado, let's get into the plan for today. So I already laid down like this guitar and stuff because this is kind of besides the point. I'm going to show you guys how to make your stuff a little bit more realistic and like unique. This is just like a normal guitar pattern. I wouldn't really consider it anything too crazy, but I'll still talk about how I made it just briefly. So let me throw on the headset and then we'll get into it. I just have this. I started by placing in these chords. So we have a G, an A sharp, and a D, which gives us a G minor chord. And here we have a D sharp, a G, and an A sharp, which gives us a D sharp major chord. And now here we have an A sharp, a D, and an F, which gives us an A sharp major chord. And now we have a D sharp, a G, and then an A sharp, a D sharp major chord, same thing as right here. And then I utilize the leading tone in this scale, and if you don't know what that is, watch some of my other videos. I go in depth a little bit more about what that means. So basically just the note below your like root note that you start out your progression with. So in this case it's F sharp, and then we have this and that. Cat just fell down the back of my bed, that's cool. So yeah, this is the notes that I decided to play on top of the leading tone. I thought it did a good job transitioning back. So yeah, after that we just have like these notes right here that just act like passing tones kind of, and they help us transition around the progression. I don't know what is going on back there, doesn't matter. But after that I just did this little run that goes up the scale, and since we're in the harmonic minor scale, this F sharp gives it like that really dark kind of feel. So yeah, and then we have this just going down up and down the scale again. Oops. So that goes like that. We have the same thing playing right there, and then I just did this little stab right here, just using notes that I thought sounded good to my ear and not trying to go too complicated, even though this looks like a pretty complex melody. Okay, so now you can see this part's the same as that, except I brought this note up for that. It's right here, and I go back down the scale and then back up again and back down and up. And it kind of resembles a sort of a wave here, like that. Up, up, down, up, down, up, down. And yeah, that's kind of how I like to make my melodies. I like to structure them as kind of like a wave kind of deal. So yeah, that's all for that basically. I alt-art it, randomized it, and I added bass notes down here to give it a little bit more of a presence in the low end. And I strummed it a little bit, so these are all off the grid. And then I went in and manually strummed some stuff too, because with this guitar sound, some of the notes cut off and I don't like that. So yeah, that's basically that. Now I have this progression with just a whistle kind of like pad sound from Omnisphere, just following the chords that we made. I have this piano one shot that is just at the bass notes of our progression. And then I have this little flute melody. I'll play it right now. So yeah, it's just really going up and down the scale, the wave again. But yeah, this isn't really the main point of the tutorial. I also have this bell. It's just repeating the same notes. You can barely hear it, but yeah, that's not really the main point of the tutorial. The tutorial is going to be like more post-processing and like vocals and that kind of stuff, and how you can make your samples unique doing that. So yeah, I'll show you what I put on the guitar. It's some reverb just to widen it up a little bit, give it a more spacious feel. Cassette, if you don't have this plugin, I highly recommend it. It really gives up that sampled feel that a lot of people are going for nowadays. And I use this inside the Bayside preset right here. This is like one of the only ones I use. I just turn the static all the way down and the stability all the way up, but it still does this weird wobble pitch bend thing. I can't figure out how to fix it, so someone's gonna have to tell me how to do that down below if you know, because otherwise you have to like export it a bunch of times until you get it not doing that, which is super annoying. But the preset itself makes up for it. So yeah, this is what the guitar sounds like without anything on it. It sounds kind of dry, not really bad. Oh, I also added these hits where the claps would play in the guitar right there. And now this is going to widen it up a little bit. This is going to give it like a more distorted kind of sample of VHS kind of effect, and this is really going to widen everything up even more and make it louder and give it like more high-end presence. And then later on in the tutorial, after we like bounce everything out, I'm gonna add even more effects. So yeah, I'm sure I would have played like the final sample for you anyway. So that's that. Didn't put any effects on this. I was using it as like a background element to kind of tell you. Same with this, and same with this too. I'm gonna wait to affect all of those until we get like everything bounced out and into like its own file. Then we're gonna add effects on like the entire sample as a whole. So yeah, that's basically everything. I actually had a bunch of effects on this, but I decided to leave it dry. Just try to tuck it in the back again. And now is where the fun stuff happens. So a lot of you guys have been wanting me to do these vocal videos where I talk about how I make my own vocal chops. And I actually recorded half of one that we're going to use for the second half of the 8-bar sample. But for the first half, we still need to record one. So I don't know how this is going to work with OBS. I might have to go in and mute my mic. I'm not quite sure yet. But yeah, I'll play what I had for the second part. Actually, I'll play first to kind of psych you guys out a little bit. I will play what I have without effects. And here I just have this auto-tune, and it won't matter if I turn the auto-tune off because I recorded it with auto-tune. That's something that I recommend doing. It allows you to hit your kind of the notes that you're trying to hit with your voice a little bit easier if you have the auto-tune on. And yeah, so I just set it to G minor because that's the scale that we're in, or G harmonic minor technically, but it doesn't really matter in the auto-tune. And then after that, I kind of just decided to like rap a little bit, and I'll show you what I came up with. I had like a big long recording, if I stretch this out, but I like this part of it. So this is what it sounds like. So I'm just mumbling, just talking about random things that don't necessarily pertain to me whatsoever. But yeah, this is what it sounds like again. I was focusing more on getting like a rhythm as opposed to lyrics. But yeah, after that, this is what I did. I pitched it up an entire octave right here. So it sounds like this now. Alright, and I should have said this a little bit earlier, but I don't have the best microphone. It's alright. It's nothing crazy though. You could easily do this on a Blue Snowball, a Blue Yeti, cheaper mics. It doesn't really matter. You can hear static coming from my laptop into the recording, but once I do this next part, you won't be able to hear that really as much. And even with like the other sample playing on top of it, it really just adds kind of texture, and I don't think your microphone has to be good whatsoever. So if you're using that, it's kind of a reason to why you don't try this. Don't do it. And also the auto-tune plugin I use is free, so just look up Graylean 2. You can get it. It's a really easy thing to use, and I like it a lot. I've used different types of auto-tunes in the past, but yeah. So now we're going to talk about the effects that I put on it. So this, it's nothing. I just took out a little bit of the high end here with the CQ, and then I put reverb on, just doused it in reverb to give it I doused it in reverb to give it that kind of just like spacey pad vocal kind of feel that you would get from arcade after you'd add like effects on it in arcade. So this is like a really easy alternative to not having an arcade, because I feel like you can do a lot more with this, obviously, because you have like your voice and you can do whatever you want with your voice. So yeah, this is what it sounds like now. And then this is with the sample. So yeah, it really just blends in and it sounds good in my opinion. So yeah, that's basically how I do it. But now we're gonna go ahead and record a second part to the whole vocals. So yeah, I'm gonna get my microphone ready and we're gonna see what we can do. I don't know why I closed my eyes when I did that. It's definitely an interesting way of recording. I'm sure that's gonna look awesome when I run it back. But yeah, now we can go over this and chop out some parts of it. Like what I have going here. Now we're gonna arrange it in a cool way. Alright, so as you can tell, the second one's a lot louder than the first one, so we're going to route the second one to its own mixer tray and re-add the effects to it. So I can actually do it. This is a simple way. You just hover over and you do save where it says as. I don't think it's going to show, and you like drag it over, and it brings up the same thing that you had on the last one. So that's basically that, and then if we just leave it like that, those are all the elements to our samples, so then we can go ahead and bounce them out. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I like the way this sounds. Like this. Okay, here we go. Now 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we can just chop. It looks like a lot of stuff. You just go like this. Now we have all the different pieces of our sample. Yeah, and now we're gonna bounce it out to one singular wave file, and then we're gonna add a bunch of effects to that to make it sound cool. So yeah, so now we can go ahead and mute all of these. We don't really need them anymore. We have this sample. Normally I just start by pitching it down a semitone. That's like the standard protocol for me. We're gonna add a stereo shaper to give it kind of a different feel, maybe. Alright, so now sometimes what I like to do is chop off this like first sample where all the stuff's going on. I like to re-put a new one over and then make unique as a sample, and then I add like halftime or some other effect to it. So we have this. Yeah, so that's basically it for the video. I guess that's how I make my samples in FL Studio. It's honestly a lot simpler than I thought. I feel like it all comes down to picking quality sounds and knowing when doing too much is not necessary. That's a weird way of saying that. Knowing when you're just doing too much and knowing when to minimize that. Don't overthink things. I just put a bunch of basic effects on that are definitely really accessible for people to get. And yeah, that's about it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video 2 days from now. So yeah, have an awesome rest of your day.